did a trip and we are back. So, attachment, what is this attachment? When you attach to something on the exterior, outside, okay, it promotes suffering. Now, it's not the kind of suffering you may think of, okay, but it is suffering. In the spiritual context, attachment isn't just liking something or wanting something. It's the clinging to something or identifying with something, okay, outside of yourself, exterior, okay, that you feel that you depend on, okay, that you become dependent on. Okay, now this is very important because we do this all the time. You see people that, have names for their cars and have names for inanimate objects that they, you know, tend to identify and then love and then become attached to. Okay, so good morning, guys. Good morning, Elizabeth. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning. And so why is this bad? Well, it's bad because these things are exterior things. They're out here. Okay, the kingdom is in here. Your power is in here. As a human being, you are designed to be complete. Okay, everything in here is complete. So, people that, good morning, Costas. Good morning. So, people that feel, right, that they're incomplete without this or without that. Now, that could be another person. It could be a car. It could be a home. It could be a job. It could be all those things. Okay, but these things that we tend to feel complete us, or these things that we identify with, that we feel we can't live without. Okay, I say feel, okay, because that's what it is. It's the way you feel which will dictate what kind of power this thing has over you. I've known, the majority of my clients are women, and I've known many women to come in and, articulate to me that they feel, they feel that they can't live without their husbands. They feel that they can't, live without their other half that they've identified with, and that they've, that they see as some sort of completion, that they complete them. Okay. Now, in the spiritual context, this isn't just liking or wanting someone. This is identifying with people, outcomes, possessions, or beliefs. Okay. As if your happiness depends on it. Okay. So your happiness should not depend on anything but this. Okay. But you. Because happiness is in here. Happiness is a choice. Happiness is not the result of something. So a lot of people get that mixed up. Okay. Don't get it twisted. So happiness is not the result of, oh, I have money now, so I'm happy. Or, oh, I have this job now, so I'm happy. No, you have to be happy first. The material possessions or the job or the spouse or the significant other, let's say, is the result of happiness. Because first you have to be happy, and then these things are added unto you. Okay, that's why it says, seek first the kingdom, right? The kingdom is within. Jesus Christ told you the kingdom is within. This is why you seek the kingdom first, because you have to be happy first. You have to be secure first. You have to be content first, and then everything gets added unto you. Why is it not good in the opposite? Because when you're attached, okay, we're talking about attachment today. When you become attached, when you identify with something and become attached to it, now you're taking everything that's supposed to be in here, everything that's supposed to be internal, and you're putting it out here, external. And that's why it doesn't work. It doesn't work because there's no foundation out here. You are the foundation in here. Okay? You are the basis of your happiness. You are the core of your happiness, of your contentment. But when you say, okay, it's my car. Like, I can't live without my car. My car is so cool, right? Like I love my car. You identify with the car. Good morning, Jay. And now when you're identifying with the car, you give it a name, you give it an identity. Okay, now you're identifying with the car. Now what do? Well, you elevate the car, right? you lift up that car. Okay, what do you do if it's a woman or a man in a relationship? You lift that person up. You put them on a pedestal. Why? Because you've identified with them and you become attached to them. Therefore, they have power over you. It's not because they're more powerful than you. It's because you've relinquished your power and you go here. Okay? And you hold them like this in regard. Okay? You start doing this to them. Okay? And number one, it's not good because it's uncomfortable for the other person. Whoever you're, worshiping, so to speak, right? Because that's basically what it is. You're attached to this person, and now the feeling is, I can't live without this person. I depend on this person. Okay? I hold this person highly because I depend on that person. Because without that person, like, my life is not complete, kind of thing, right? But that's not the way you do it if you want to keep another person around. Okay? That's not how you do it. You allow them to go free. You allow them to be free. You allow them to have their space. Okay? Because it's very easy to attach to someone that you like or you love. Okay? Especially when you're in love with that person, right? Maybe you're deeply in love with that person. Okay? So now there's this attachment. Okay? Now your happiness depends on what that person does. And that person becomes a remote control for your life. Instead, allow that person freedom. Allow that person to, the old expression, right? If you love something, set it free. If it's yours, it will return. If it doesn't, it was never meant to be. And I'm paraphrasing, but there's an old expression like that. And that's what I've always done with people in relationships. In friendships, in interactions, because you have to allow the other person freedom. There's no such thing as, okay, now we're together, now you behave this way. That's crazy. You can't do that. You can't control another person, okay? But you can control this one. And when you control this one in such a way, or you handle this one in such a way, the relationship is always there. So how does that work? Well, you allow freedom. Okay, there's no condition. It's unconditional love. With unconditional love says, I love you. And there's no condition on it. Doesn't matter. If you go away, you go away. You stay, you stay. Either way, there's going to be this love there. Okay? And of course, if somebody goes away, another person will come along. But the worst thing you can do is treat a person like a possession. This is mine. There's another old expression that says, she's not yours, it's just your turn. Okay, and it goes the same for men. It's not just about women. But when you allow that freedom, then you're allowing them the space to make their own decision. Now they're not bound to, your whims or your demands or your way. Now they can come and go freely. Okay, so attachment, we see attachment in many forms. Attachment can be with people, attachment can be with things. If you're really, really attached to your car and all of a sudden it breaks down and there's no parts to fix it, right? What happens? How do you feel? You feel bad. Okay. So years and years ago, I started looking at cars as just cars. Before that, I was like, well, I can't go to the beach because I don't want to get sand in my car. I can't do this. I can't do, so I set up rules for myself, right? And then I found out that no, that doesn't work. It doesn't work because sometimes those conditions or rules are unrealistic. Okay, especially with people. With things, it's not so bad. But you actually become sad. You become emotionally attached. Okay. So, and sometimes it's attached to money. You ever see people that are emotionally attached to money? Something happens and money goes out, and it affects them emotionally, and they're sad, right? And money comes back and then they're happy. Okay, so happiness starts in here. Okay, happiness is here. It's not out here with money. Okay, when you're happy, money is added unto you. Okay, this is why Jesus said in the Bible, right? Seek first the kingdom of God, and all else will be added unto you. When you're happy, you attract money. When you're happy, you attract things. When you're happy, you attract love. When you're happy, you attract everything that you're supposed to have. Everything that is yours. You attract everything that is you. Okay, and that's basically the law of attraction. Like attracts like. Now, it's not witchcraft, it's not voodoo, it's your subconscious. There's the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. And the superconscious will put God in that category. But these three states of awareness are important to be aware of. Okay, so why does attachment cause suffering? Well, it causes suffering because it's impermanent. Anything you're attached to is impermanent. Why is that? Because nothing in the universe is static. Everything is evolving. Everything is growing. Everything is changing. So when you're in a relationship and the person changes and you don't change with them, it's just them evolving and changing, okay? Or if both of you are evolving and changing and going in different directions, it's going to hurt, right? So that's the attachment part, right? So that change will cause hurt. That change will cause you to be uncomfortable. It will cause you to be unhappy. Especially if you've built that attachment or those conditions around the person. Okay, same things with material things, same thing. Okay, people leave, situations shift, bodies change, wealth comes and goes, right? Sometimes you do really good for a few years, and some years, oh, you struggle a little bit, and then you do really, really good again. Okay, money is an energy, and you have to understand rhythm. Okay, there's a rhythm to money. There's a rhythm to wealth. There's a rhythm to it all. And sometimes those rhythms are off. And when they're off, you need to not be attached in such a way that your mood goes down. Because when your mood goes down, guess what happens? Your blessings start going out. The tide goes out when your mood is down, when you're not feeling it. Okay, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, poverty is the result of feeling poor. So however you're feeling is going to bring on your condition. So you're feeling happy, good conditions. Okay, feeling sad, feeling depressed, feeling lonely, bad conditions. Okay. Now, if your happiness depends on someone loving you, you're attached. Okay? Like, you're complete in here. Nobody completes you. You're complete, 100%. Okay? But you need to be secure with that. You need to be happy with that. You need to understand that. And when you understand that, then freedom is automatic. You give the person freedom automatically. It doesn't matter. But when you start placing conditions on it, that's when you get hurt. Okay, because everything evolves. Those conditions eventually will be violated. Eventually, so in some way. Because it's not just one condition, right? When you start being conditional, you start invoking a lot of conditions, or implementing a lot of conditions, or creating a lot of conditions. It's not just one condition. One condition leads to another. Okay. So the loss of freedom, right? If attachment narrows your choices because you feel chained to what you fear losing, then yeah, you're suffering the loss of freedom. you're focusing on loss. So if you're focusing on lack or loss, okay, like if you're in a relationship, okay, and you fear the other person leaving you, okay, like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do if she leaves me. If you keep feeling that way, you're going to start producing small little actions from the subconscious that slowly pushes her away. And some of these things you're not even going to be able to help because they're subconscious. They're small little unconscious actions that happen that start pushing the other person away. Okay, little things, small little things. And it's under the radar. It's like under the radar, but they keep happening. Why? Because your focus is lack. Your focus is fear of loss. Right? So if you're afraid you're going to lose your other half, you'll start to produce these actions that are conducive to fear, that are conducive to loss. And these actions are all negative. Okay, all the negative emotions are rooted in fear. Okay, so those things start happening. You see these people, right? Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do if so-and-so leaves me. And they start talking about what would happen if my husband leaves me or my wife leaves me or my girlfriend, whatever, doesn't matter. The other person, right? And pretty soon they unconsciously do certain things that are conducive to loss. And what happens? She leaves, or he leaves, or they break up, that kind of thing, right? The same thing with your job. If you start believing that you are your job, okay, identify with your title, identify with your degree, your title, your position, right, that kind of thing, you feel lost. Why? Because now it's your position. Now it's your title. It's no longer you. I coach a lot of professionals. And in my mindset coaching, right, they always tell me, I'm tired of being so-and-so the attorney. I'm tired of being so-and-so the doctor. What about me? And that becomes the question after you go down the road a bit. After you go down the road a few years, after you get the accolades, after you get the achievements, and you're achieving. This is very common in high achievers. Because then they get seen, okay, or they become seen in their position. But inside, right? Inside they have feelings. Inside, they're asking the question, what about me? Never mind the attorney, never mind the doctor, never mind, whatever their position is, right? Now, what are some signs that you're suffering from attachment? How do you know? Good morning, lady. Thank you. Thank you. So, how do you know you're suffering from attachment? If you're always suffering fear of loss, if you're always afraid of losing something, whatever it is, it could be your job. I know these guys, like I knew this guy a few months ago. His concern was, I don't want to lose my job. And I told him he had to shift his focus. Okay, because in your subconscious, when you're afraid of losing your job, the focus is loss, lose. Okay? So if you're constantly articulating that or speaking that and thinking that, it's going into your subconscious as loss, job loss. What happens? Well, slowly things happen that are conducive to you losing your job, and eventually you lose your job. So it's the same for a job. It's the same for a relationship. It's the same for anything. Okay, you can be afraid that somebody's going to break in your house and you're going to lose your stuff. And what happens eventually? Maybe somebody doesn't break in your house. Maybe it's another way. Maybe there's a fire. Maybe there's a natural disaster. And eventually you lose everything in your house. Why? Because the basic fundamental fear was loss. Okay, loss is a negative. All the negative emotions are rooted in fear. If you're feeling like you're going to suffer loss, what you're doing is you're worried about it. Okay, worry is like praying for something bad to happen. So what happens when you're worried about it? It begins to happen slowly, subconsciously. Okay, another thing is clinging. Okay, when you have a difficulty of letting something go or allowing something to be free. Okay, replaying scenarios or obsessing over outcomes, that kind of thing. Okay, because you want something a certain way, because you want a certain outcome with something. Okay, when you're clinging to something, right? Like if you're in a relationship and you're clinging, if you're a guy clinging to a woman, that's probably one of the worst ones, but women do it too. But I'm just saying, and then what do? You start appeasing the other side. You start going like this to the other side, to that person, right? And they become uncomfortable. Why? Because they know themselves. They know they're not worthy of that. They're not worthy of the praise. They're not worthy of the presence. They're not worthy of the attention, like all that stuff. Because at that point, you're going to overdo, overdo, overdo. You're going to go like this, like this, like this, and lift them up like that and put them on a pedestal. Why? Because you fear losing them. And what is it really doing? It's really pushing them, pushing them, pushing them away like that. Okay? Because it's uncomfortable. When your peace depends on external circumstances. Okay, so everything is external out here when you're doing that. It's not internal. Internal when you're at peace. Internal when there's no fear of loss. You're attracting. It's the opposite. Okay, but first you have to be comfortable in this one before you can worry about that one. So that the interior, okay, the universal law of correspondence, always, right? Everything in here is reflected out here. If you're scared in here, it's going to be reflected out here. If you're fearful in here, it's going to be reflected out here. Then it will be visible. Then it will be noticeable. Then actions will happen. And that starts to push people away. Emotional dependence is a thing. Okay? And this is why emotional intelligence is important. Okay? Because if your peace, depends on someone else or something else, if your peace of mind depends on that nice car that you have, and then something happens to the car, what happens to your peace of mind? Right? Resentment, anger, okay? When life doesn't meet your expectations, what happens? You become bitter. You start resenting things. So resentment is that small little degree of anger that's underlying. It's a small little current of underlying anger. That's what resentment is. So whether it's a relationship and you say, well, without this girl, without this guy, I'm nothing. Without this person, I'm incomplete. Or if it's a job, without this position, I'm nothing. Without this position, I'm just a regular person or whatever. Okay, maybe you have a very high paying job. Maybe you have a huge responsibility. Maybe you oversee a lot of people, that kind of thing. And then you feel like, well, without this job, like I'm nothing. That kind of thing. Okay, this is over-identification because you're identifying with something external. You're identifying with the job. Over-identification is the same with people. You're over-identifying with your spouse. And then all those things that I talked of happen. So how do you overcome attachment? Thank you, Costas. Thank you, lady. How do you overcome attachment? It doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you stop loving. Okay? It doesn't mean you stop engaging. It doesn't mean that you ignore people. Okay? It means you love and engage without clinging, without going like this, without grabbing on, like holding on like that. Because if you start holding on, the opposite will happen. Okay, the other side goes like this. It's the same with your job because it's all subconscious. because you start doing these things from your subconscious that start sabotaging your job. This is where self-sabotage comes from. It comes from attachment. So you practice non-identification. Non-identification says, I am not this. I am not that. I am this. Okay, I am. God revealed himself to Moses in the Bible as I am. And this is why I am affirmations are so strong. They're very powerful. It refers to your very being. Okay, I am. So when you write your affirmations, okay, I am grateful. I am loving. I am complete. Those things. Okay, write your affirmations. When I do my intake of my clients, I have them write 100 positive affirmations about themselves. Some of my clients take 2 days to do it. Some of them take 3 days, 4 days, sometimes even a week to do it, to finish 100 positive I ams about themselves. But this is the world we live in. There are entities, there are things, there are people that want us to be less than. And they make you feel, like Ralph Waldo Emerson said, right? Poverty consists in feeling poor. People want you to feel less than. But I'm here to tell you that you need to look in the mirror and you need to rethink what you're looking at. Because the miracle isn't here. The kingdom is within. I am is within. God lives in here. You're a co-creator with God. You create your circumstances. You create your opportunities. If there's no opportunity that you see, like you can't see any opportunities, you have to create an opportunity. It's not that difficult to do. It depends on what it is you want, and you go from there. But you need to create opportunities. The mountain's not going to come to you. You need to go to the mountain. Okay, but just remember you can. Okay? And also remember that you're not your position. You're not your roles. You're not your possessions. You're not your achievements. Your awareness. In here, your awareness. So all these things on the outside just get added to you. Okay? The kingdom, right, is in here. Everything is just added unto you. But these things that are added unto you, the money over here, the position over here, the property over here, the car over there, all these things that are added unto you are just temporary. Because they keep changing. The car gets old, you turn it in, you get another car. Okay, you're not going to be hurt because you had to turn in this car. That's silly, right? When I turn in my leases, I'm like, okay, next one. Time to enjoy the next one. So it's mindset. It's like, how are we going to think about this? Okay, if we look at it as a new opportunity, if we look at it as, okay, now I'm going to lease this new car, now I'm going to have another good experience, and I'm going to, experience this one, right? It changes. But if you're stuck on possession, like I own this or whatever, like you're attached to this, oh, I'm never going to find another lease like this, right? Like never going to find another car like this. And you start falling in love with things. Just know that you should use things and love people. Okay? Inanimate objects don't have a heartbeat. Money doesn't have a heartbeat. Money is something you use. Money is something you command. Money is something you have authority over as a human being. The only thing you don't have authority over is other human beings. Unless there's some kind of organization like the military, right? You have people that command other human beings. But you sign up for that. Okay? Don't let money control you. You control money. Don't let things control you. You control things. Okay, people have free will, so you can't control another person. They have free will. They have a choice. They have divine rights. Okay, how are you going to accept impermanence? Impermanence means it's not permanent. Impermanence suggests that these things that we're talking about, whatever they are, these external things, are temporary because they change. Because they change into other things, or they change form, or they change in time, or they grow. And when they grow, they're not the same. So you have to meditate on change. Realize that everything you love will shift. Even the people you love. They'll get new ideas. They'll start thinking different. If you have a problem with that, it starts to go like this. Okay? Used to be like this. Used to be going straight like this. Now it's going like this. It's growing like that. Why? Because things change. People change. Okay, this is why the whole concept of marriage, colonialism, colonizing, those things, those are outdated concepts. Those don't work anymore. Not in the modern world. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying marriage is wrong. I'm saying the expectation of forever is unrealistic. Okay, the expectation. Now, expectation ruins relationships. Expectation is good for manifestation. Why? Because you need to expect something good. Something good is just about to happen. But when you're expecting forever, till death do us part, in the modern world, in the ancient world, it was okay. In the old world, even 100 years ago, 50 years ago, it was acceptable. It was understandable. What's the difference now? Now people have options. People have way more options. People can get to other people very quickly, right? They use one of these, right? If you have one of these, right? You're watching me, you have one of these, okay? You have access to people. In the old days, you had to go to a party, you had to meet someone, then you had to go to a payphone or, a landline, and keep contact and that kind of thing. Now, you can see pictures, you can see videos, you can be in someone's DM or message, right? So there's more options. The more options you have, the less likely you will stick with one thing forever. That's a long time. Forever is a long time. And then, if it's forever, that's attachment. That's an attachment. That's an expectation. Right? Forever is a rule, becomes a rule. But then, these two individuals are changing all the time. And if they don't make an effort to change together, they go like that slowly. And then slowly you have separate lives. Then this one is doing their thing over here, this one is doing their thing over there. Is it their fault? That's relative. Okay. So cultivate detachment and not indifference. Detachment is not coldness, okay? It's being able to appreciate something fully without trying to own or control it. Okay? In our country, in the United States, ownership is the thing, right? Everybody wants to own this. They want to own land. They want to own everything. This is mine. That's mine. This is mine. That's mine. You'd be surprised how life changes when you get out of the ownership mindset. I started owning cars until I did, came to the conclusion that leasing cars is better. You don't have to own it. You can lease it. You can rent it. When you look at profit margins of real estate sales, you realize, well, yeah, if you're living in a house, by the time you sell the house, it's not a big profit margin. But if you get out of the ownership mindset, you get out of attachment. You get out of that, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. It's sort of kind of like a relationship, right? You have a house, you fall in love with the house. Oh, I love this house. Something happened to the house, you become devastated. I realized a long time ago, this is just a thing. It's just a car. It's just a guitar. It's just a, whatever it was for me, right? It's just that. It's not a person. It doesn't have a heartbeat. It doesn't have feelings. So the more you try to own or control something, the more you try to possess something, the more it's going to run away. I don't care if it's a possession, I don't care if it's a person, it doesn't matter. But the more you try to go like this, the more it, whatever it is, will go like that. If you let it be, right, chances are it stays around. So you shift from grasping something to gratitude, to appreciating it, to saying thank you for it, to saying thank you to it. Depends. The fastest way to push people away from you is to not appreciate them. As far as relationship dynamics, men just want to be appreciated, women just want to be loved. The women who show appreciation get more love. It's like anything. If you have a pet, you have a dog. If you show that dog love, the more the dog will love you. If you isolate the dog, or if you push the dog away, or the last thing you do is play with the dog, not as much. So instead of thinking, I need this, right? Being needy. I need this. It could be anything. Could be a car, could be a outfit, could be a pair of shoes. I need this. Just shift to I'm grateful for this, that it's here now, that it's here right now. That's where gratitude comes in. Gratitude is also the great multiplier. Rhonda Byrne calls gratitude the great multiplier. Because when you're grateful for something, it increases. Energy flows where attention goes. It's on my latest podcast if you want to see the podcast, or if you want to listen to the podcast. But when you apply attention to something, okay, attention, you're being attentive to it. Okay, attention, you're being grateful for it. It starts to multiply, it starts to grow. So, in the spiritual sense, attachments are deeply tied to what a person identifies with. Whatever you identify with, whatever's out here that you identify with. When you start to identify with the title, you start to identify with the spouse, the other half. When you start to identify with things you love, attachments are formed. You ever see somebody who's really attached to a shirt and the shirt has a bunch of holes in it and like it's almost shredded, but they love that shirt, right? They're attached to that shirt. They've had that shirt forever. It's their favorite shirt. And when they finally have to give it up, when they finally have to throw it away, it stings a little bit. That's attachment. When you start to identify with something, you say, this is mine. This is me. Without this, I'm not complete. I don't know too many people that feel that they're not complete, but there are some. And if that ever happens to you and you ever feel like that, you have given up your power. You have given up your strength. When you feel like that about a person, you have said, okay, I'm going to take my power and here, I'm going to give it to you. And you're going to be like this. That's what you're doing. You're giving your power to something else, to someone else. That's how attachment goes. It's not the object, relationship, or situation itself that causes suffering. It's the identification and the clinging that create the suffering. Because why? Because when it goes, you hurt. You know, when you get rid of the shirt, right? Like, man, I really wanted that shirt forever. You know, when the love walks out the door, I really wanted her forever. Or I really wanted this to continue forever. Because you became attached to it. You know, when the car is no longer operable, it's like, I wanted this car forever. That's my favorite car I ever had. I love that car, right? So try not to love inanimate objects. And when you love a person, allow them the freedom to go. Allow the freedom, and you'll be surprised what happens. You'll be surprised. When there's no pressure, when there's no possession, when there's no you are mine kind of attitude, when there's no like this, they tend to hang out a lot longer, sometimes indefinitely. In my experience with women, when you just allow them to come and go as they please, they come around a lot more. And when they go, they come back. It's a beautiful experience. Because at that point, you have not said, this is mine. At that point, you haven't said, oh, you need to only be with me. You just, okay, yeah, go. And when you do that, they tend to hang out. They tend to hang around. Why? Because you haven't placed all these rules and restrictions, right? You haven't suffocated them with conditions. Now there's unconditional love. Unconditional love. Okay, if you go, okay. If you stay, okay. You're going to find out that, you know, more often than not, they stay. If they don't stay, they always come back. Love always resurfaces. Why? Because it was unconditional. Because when you gave that love, they don't forget that. They remember that. So a lot of times in relationships, guys especially, take notes, okay? When you allow a woman to just go, you know, I have a lot of young men who always ask me in my profession, in my work as a life coach, they always ask me, Uncle, how do we get our girl back? And my answer is, you wait. You wait. Okay, because a lot of the times they'll go, women will leave, right? And they'll have a bad experience. And I always tell these young men, just be patient and let these guys push her back to you, because they'll remember the unconditional love. If it's unconditional, if there's no conditions, right? Conditional love is, I love you if, right? I love you, but. I love you, and. There's no ands, if, or buts. There's just, I love you. That's it. And a lot of times when they go out here into the world, they go back out, okay? They have an experience with somebody who's not like you. who doesn't give unconditional love, and what happens? They always come back. That's been the story of my life. But that's how you need to do it. And you need to learn this as soon as possible. Because conditions and possession and restriction just make people want to break free and go. A lot of people believe that, I'm their partner, right? If they leave, I don't have a partner. I lose everything. No. Mm-mm. Identity and career, right? I'm a doctor, or I'm a lawyer, or whatever it is, right? Without the title, I'm nothing. So a lot of people cling to that a lot longer than they should. They work more years than they should. They should retire, but no, because they feel that without this title, without my job, without going to the office or going to the hospital or going to the court, whatever the title is, right? Whatever the job is, I'm nothing. I'm just like an everyday person. So if that's how you feel about your job, get over it. It's just a job. It's just a title. It's just a degree. It's just experience. So when you attach your worth to your role, bad things happen. Suffering happens. Okay, it depends on what happens to the role. Sometimes it's not needed anymore. Sometimes your expertise is good for a good number of years. And you're going to see that now. Technology is moving at a very quick rate. And a lot of people's positions, a lot of people's titles, a lot of people's degrees are going to be worthless soon. And they're all going to be out of a job. And what's the biggest thing that's going to happen? This one is going to feel incomplete. This one is going to feel lost because they'll be out of a job. All the old school flexes in college, right? Oh, I got to get this degree, got to get that degree. Most of the degrees will be eliminated. And I'm not talking like in 10 years. I'm talking in 3 years. You're going to see massive layoffs. Why? Because technology will replace a lot of people. Because degrees are shifting from the traditional ones that we knew to new ones that we're not yet familiar with. So how do you adapt? Acceptance. That's the first step, to accept it. But also to feel a sense of self-worth, because you're bigger than your degree. You're bigger than your position. You're bigger than your relationship. You're a human being. You have access to infinite knowledge in here, in the kingdom. How do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. Never allow yourself to feel less than. You're just as good as anyone else. We're all human beings. If you look at it like, okay, I was this position, I was this, title, this thing, right? All of a sudden, this is obsolete. Now I'm nothing. Then you're looking at it wrong. Human beings adapt. Human beings, right? Adapt to things. So the attachments must be dealt with ahead of time. If you're not attached to your position and then your position gets eliminated, okay, next position, try something else. But if you identify with your position, you identify with doctor, you identify with whatever it is, engineer, you identify, and then these positions get eliminated. Or let's say they're not as plentiful, and then they don't mean as much, and you put all this time into studying, and you put all these years into work experience, and then down the road over here in the next 2 to 3 years, they're devalued, you're not devalued. It's just the position. Like it's just a car. Like it's just a shirt. Like it's just a pair of shoes. Human beings are resilient. You're resilient. It's good to be prepared. Thank you. Access to more in here. You have unlimited access in here. Do your meditation. Do your prayers. Say your prayers. Do your meditation. The formula is ask, believe, receive. So when you get stuck, when you feel, okay, that things are tough, things are not always tough, sometimes it's our perception, go in the kingdom, within. Close your distractors like that, okay, and ask. Believe in your asking. Believe that what you're asking, you will find an answer for, that the answer will come to you. And then be open. Be open to receive. And you will receive. Ask, believe, receive. I can tell you one thing, when you get used to meditating, I meditate for hours. Okay, 10 minutes is good enough. 10 minutes a day is good enough. 15 minutes, that's plenty. But when you start doing this meditation, what happens is you start to understand things that the physical world does not represent. Because the physical world represents man-made things, things made by man. Okay, the only thing out here, okay, outside the kingdom, is nature and things from someone else's in here. That's all that's out here. There's no out there, out there. God is not up there. God is not out there. God is in here. And you can make everything happen from in here. And yes, you need to take action. But don't forget that thought is action. Thoughts become things. So if you think the proper thoughts, and it's not like you have to have the right thoughts, you will stumble upon the right thoughts. And you'll know because it will present itself in the physical world. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. And the more you think the thoughts, the more things will materialize in that direction. So if you're thinking the thoughts like, well, I need to learn a new trade. I need to learn something for the digital age. If that's the thought, one day something will expose itself. It'll show itself to you. And you'll go, oh yeah, that looks interesting. Oh, that looks easy. Yeah, that looks like I can do that. And you will gravitate towards that. Why? Because it's a belief in your subconscious. The conscious mind commits. The conscious mind says, we are working on this. The subconscious receives that instruction and learns through repetition. In other words, that conscious decision needs to be restated over and over. You need to plant those seeds in the subconscious. Those seeds will grow in the subconscious into beliefs. Those beliefs will start to be confirmed by the subconscious. It will show you instances of it. So those thoughts should be positive. They should be constructive. They should be productive. Because if they're not, your subconscious will show you confirmation of it. For example, if your thought is, I'm not good enough, your subconscious will start to show you proof of it. Oh, remember last week when you failed at this? Or remember last year when that happened? Remember 5 years ago when you failed at this? And all of these thoughts will keep coming to in your head. And then what? Then you begin to see yourself as a failure. When all these things are being mirrored to you, life is a mirror. Life is a mirror. All these things are being mirrored to you by your subconscious. And then you start to see yourself as a failure. Instead, go for the positive side. I'm a success. I love to succeed. Now what does your subconscious do? It starts to pull out all your successes, because your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses. Everything you've ever done. Your subconscious is the book of life. Everything you've ever done. There's no book of life up there. There's no book of life out there. The book of life is in here, because you remember everything you've done. And if you don't believe it in your short-term memory, it's there in your long-term memory. And your subconscious is the one that absorbed all the data of it. What you touched, right? What you smelled, what you tasted, what you saw, what you heard, all of these things. And when you commit with the conscious mind, and you tell your subconscious about it, right? So affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, it cannot not happen. You will start to see things take shape. You will start to see things evolve into whatever it is that you are putting into your subconscious. Your subconscious can make you happy. Your subconscious can make you a happy person if that's how you're programming your subconscious. Your subconscious can make you sad. Okay? If you focus on a sad event and you keep thinking about it over and over and over in the sorrow context, you will start to feel sad about things. Your subconscious will look for things that you can feel sad about. The same thing with happiness. If you put happiness into your subconscious is gonna pull up all the happiness for you, so that you can be happy, so that you can be a happy person. I know a lot of happy people, and I know a lot of miserable people, and misery loves company too. You notice all the happy people kind of get together, right? Because they want to be happy, they want to do cheerful things, right? And then all the miserable people, they gossip, they do all that, and they're all over here, because like attracts like. So your subconscious has a lot to do with the way you feel. A lot of people don't know why they feel like they feel. It's your subconscious. Your subconscious can make you an angry person. It can make you a happy person. It can make you a carefree person. All of those things. It can make you a grouchy person. Anything. It's your diet. Your diet is not just what you eat, it's what you see, it's what you listen to, it's everything you take in your subconscious. Everything gets remembered and it gets played back. And everything will get played back according to what you believe in your subconscious. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. Okay, so today we're talking about attachment. Okay. So when you talk about identity and beliefs, it's the same thing. Identity, I am my political stance. Okay, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm an independent, whatever. Your subconscious will start giving you details about that. Yeah, I'm a conservative, or yeah, I'm a liberal. I believe in this. It'll start feeding it back to you. It'll start confirming it. Okay? Attachments are things you identify with and cling to as part of your identity. When you identify, I am that, I am this, I am that, I'm the doctor, I am the, right? I am the. It's the identification. Instead, detach, let go. This is who you are. The kingdom is within. This is where God is. This is all that matters. Whatever you believe in here will be projected out here. And this is why when you do this, Gautama Buddha said, the person that sees life as an illusion escapes suffering. That's what he was talking about. He was talking about non-attachment. He was talking about when you attach yourself to your career, your relationship, whatever it is, your car, your home, okay, all of these things, eventually you suffer because these things will change because nothing is static in the universe. And Jay is saying, see you tomorrow. And there she is. Okay, thank you, Jay. Thank you for moderating. So we're here every morning. We were off this weekend. I was on another island, but I'm back, and we are here every morning at 7 a.m. for you. Today we were talking about attachment. So hopefully you have a greater insight on attachment, how it works for you and how it works against you. I'm Junior from Here For You Life Coaching. It's hereforyoulifecoaching.com, or you can write to me with questions and I'll answer you. Junior@hereforyoulifecoaching.com. Give me a few days. We get a lot of emails. So until tomorrow.